Good,
what a starting
good
point.
morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome back to the show. We've got a new guest with me today, Mr. Bigglesworth. Hello. He's not called Mr. Bigglesworth. Listen, just bringing you the latest AI news, guys, and we're going to dive into the latest story. But before we do, just quick hit the like, say hi in the comments. Be great to have you guys and join the conversation. Let us know what you think as well. We're just sharing our views on the news we're discovering as we're working in this space, and it gets us helping us shape our framework in terms of our thinking, how we approach AI, both in terms of technically and also ethically as well. These are all sort of really important moral questions we've got to tackle as builders in this space. So, Will, have you had a good weekend, mate? It's Monday. It's Monday morning.
Always feeling a little bit. No, I haven't had a coffee. I always do these podcasts on the back of no caffeine hit. So, to be fair, it's made me much better at pretending that I'm awake. Like, as soon as the camera goes off, I'll be knackered again. But I always have breakfast.
Well, I hope our audience have got themselves a cup of tea or coffee. Have they themselves settled in wherever they're listening? Maybe they're just listening on, audio, and just, although we haven't got a podcast, but sometimes I listen to my YouTube videos as just as a podcast, as I'm doing other jobs. Anyway, enough about me doing my weird habits. Will, what's the latest story?
This isn't AI driven, but it links back to AI, and I think it's going to be an interesting chat off the basis of it. So it's an interesting story, so enjoy the story, and then I will, if you bear with me, I will link it back to AI. And for the more astute people listening, they might be able to already see the connection as soon as I share the headline. So here is the story, and this caught my eye because it's frankly horrific, to be honest with you. Yeah. But the headline is, Meta reportedly projected 10% of their 2024 sales came from scam and fraud ads. Now, to me, this is just on the, if we didn't link it back to AI, this is a story in and of itself. 10% of overall sales, net sales, which equates to about $16 billion, came from online ads that are completely fraud.
Wild.
And that's everything, as the article references: fraudulent e-commerce shops, investment schemes, illegal online casinos, and the sale of banned medical products, all running on Meta's platform. And the total of that fraudulent advertising added up to 10 billion. I'm amazed that Meta's reporting it, to be honest with you, because what a thing to state. And the fact that they didn't do they haven't given any of the money back or done anything with it. At least I don't think they kept it. But they did say that they are aggressively addressing it, so that's good of them, I suppose. So, First of all, that is insane. Now I'll quickly link it back to AI and how we can talk about that. And I think that this problem is only probably going to get worse over time, especially as we spoke about last week. We're seeing more and more AI-driven content on the internet. It's going now beyond just text-driven content, where ChatGPT has written it back 3 years ago. Now we're seeing hyper-realistic photos, hyper-realistic videos, and we're seeing a lot of them. And also, if you're astute and you've already noticed, you'll see a lot of them in adverts as well. A lot of Facebook ads, Instagram ads use AI.
YouTube
ads, all ads use AI-driven content to display. And this, I think on the surface is a relatively good thing. I mean, we've spoken about the benefit of actually having these tools at our disposal that have allowed us to create this kind of meaningful content and get into the game where we wouldn't have been able to years ago, and we'd have had to outlay a lot of money to produce something similar. You can at least get started. However, obviously, there's always two sides to a coin, and the other side is that you're allowing tools to generate photorealism very easily that is going to be misused. And one of the challenges we have within AI development is how we prevent that use case. And also, what can we do to supply tools to people as the end users to detect if something is not real and is AI generated. So yeah, a genuinely fascinating conversation all around, I think. What's your first initial thoughts, Ben, on the whole Meta story and also how it links to AI?
Yeah, it's really interesting. In all honesty, it's absolutely wild, isn't it? When you actually, I mean, we all know it happens, yeah? But when it's spelt out and you hear 10%, get your bum out of the way, 10%, you go 10%, okay. But then actually you hear how much that is in pounds and pence, and it is absolutely wild. It's quite, it's quite depressing that there are this many assholes out there in the world who can't just go and, do something positive with their life and actually create something of value. They've just got to try and scam people. It's quite sort of sad.
Sad.
But that's just the reality of the world we're in. And it's the reality of the world we've always been in. Let's not pretend it's just, it's something that's happening now. So yeah, I it's very transparent, isn't it, of Meta to sort of declare it. It maybe signals that they're going to try and hopefully do something about it. Equally, it's in many respects, it doesn't incentivize them to actually do something about it at all. In many respects, because they're making a bucket load of money. So, again, the other flip side is, are they going to take it seriously? They're a public listed company, so proof would be in the pudding. But with AI, we know AI is going to accelerate everything, and this is what's going to happen with crime and fraud and things like that. And we've seen it with it wasn't necessarily AI, but that wallet hack where they were sort of falling on the seed phrase, wallet address, which we talked about in one of the earlier videos. So and again, looking at the AI side of it, I find it hilarious when I see these AI videos, adverts pop up on YouTube. Lawrence Dallaglio talking about that this is the greatest opportunity. Most people, unless they're in the UK, won't know who Lawrence Dallaglio is. He's an ex-English rugby player. So maybe it's targeted specifically for UK audiences. Maybe they're fine-tuning their ads, and maybe they've got somebody else in America or wherever. So, and then you've got some, I can't remember, random politicians, or there was this, was a money-saving expert dude. Maybe they're being really targeted. Maybe they're going, right, we're going to have these, famous people in all these different countries making it look not real. But although they're funny to watch, you would imagine there's some people who are stupid enough to think that they're falling for it. And even if they're not, the reality is this is just the beginning. So
it's
as we might laugh at
harder
them,
to tell. Yeah.
As we might laugh at them now and mock them and actually wish, hope that they're wasting their money by running these ads. The reality is they're going to get better and better, and being able to have identity verification and things like that is going to be an interesting, an important tool in our armory. Something that again has been talked about quite a lot in the Cardano community. Midnight, that's around the corner. Verification of identity, and that type of thing. So that's really, really interesting in the blockchain space. So I don't know, Will, what's your sort of take on it?
Exactly.
In terms of future technologies, what sort of technologies can we think about that might help tackle this?
This has already been on the minds of AI researchers and companies that release the models for a long time, because it's always been observed. You can almost give it a law these days that as soon as you release something like this, one of the first use cases of it, and this has been cited by a number of experts in the field, one of the observed first things that people will do with it is try to petty scam other people. And this has always been the case. I mean, with every new technology that's ever been released, it's one of the first observed things that happens with it, because people are just of that nature, which is incredibly sad. But there we go. In terms of what we can do, because it has been on the mind of researchers for a long time, is we have to be able to, obviously things like blockchain are great, and there is definitely a place for things like the Midnight network and the idea of zero knowledge proofs and things like that to identity verify people. However, you could actually build some technology into the models themselves. How can you tell other people that this is AI generated without ruining the clip or video or the photo that has been produced? And the way we would do that is through some sort of what we call metadata. And some of you will have heard of that, some of you won't, but essentially metadata is extra information that gets sent with a piece of content. So when you have a website, you might have heard of the metadata behind a website. That's the title, the description that search engines see. You don't see it particularly, but it's in the code in the back end, and website crawlers like Google's crawler, can detect that metadata and use it for listings. It would be a very similar concept. I'm overly simplifying how you do it for AI, but it's the same sort of thing is that you would ship the content with extra additional metadata with it that can be detected by systems to tell that that was AI generated. A very simple example within text generation, which is what we're seeing a lot of now, is that there are a bunch of characters in computer systems that are non-visible to humans. They don't get rendered by the computer. They're just blank white space characters that you couldn't tell. The easiest example there is like a space bar, for example. That's a character. It's creating a space, but it shows nothing at all. There's a bunch of other characters just like this that don't create spaces even. They're just present in the text. And for example, AI-driven text can be shipped with these non-visible characters in them, that when pasted into a system, the computer can detect those characters because they're there, but they don't get rendered to the screen, so you can't see them. Similarly, with video and image content, is you can look to ship watermarks, if you like, that are non-visible to you. There are obviously visible watermarks, which you might have seen on Sora's videos and Google Gemini's photos, but there also can be hidden watermarks that just computer systems can detect. The whole aim of this is that we can then build systems and software around these standards of metadata and watermarking to help better detect and then verify users that what they're seeing might not necessarily, not always, might not necessarily be authentic, and therefore just beware of what you're watching. There's legitimate use cases for it, so you can't say this is a scam because it's AI generated, but
well, that was my point I was about to sort of mention, because we will be able to sort of enable people to identify this as AI content versus real content, because there's going to be that I literally cannot tell the difference. But that's yeah. but like you said, there's going to be legitimate AI content. So for example, I don't know, some famous basketball player, he might actually want to promote a product legitimately through an AI process because he's really busy and it's more efficient and all the rest of it. Yeah. So, by saying it's AI, it doesn't necessarily mean this is a scam.
No.
And I think I think there's a layer beyond that, isn't there, potentially, or we'll have to, maybe some, whether it's us or whoever has to think about this, that sort of verifies that this person is behind this AI content, and this person also endorses this product or service that they're promoting. So again, it'd be interesting thinking about whether there'll be an NFT overlap, or whether there's going to be a blockchain overlap, or whether there'll be a mixture of things coming together.
Or it could just be traditional. It could just be traditional in terms of irregular identification as well. It doesn't necessarily have to. Obviously, that would be more private for people. But additionally, that two-layered validation that this content and tell people that this content is what it is. But also, yes, the relevant party is, because the amount of times I see a Joe Rogan AI generated, because there's so many hundreds of hours of Joe Rogan content on the internet, that it's so easy to make a deep fake of Joe Rogan. And therefore I see a lot of it. But it'd be good, obviously that's a very valid point, I think, to be able to have Joe Rogan validate what is real Joe Rogan AI generated content and what isn't. Interesting. No, it's fascinating.
So in the meantime, I think the takeaway is just to be careful. Don't trust, verify as much as you possibly can, and if in doubt, don't trust. Actually, it's funny because there is this, again, our UK viewers will be familiar with Nationwide Bank. Our American audience and audience from Australia and other places around the world, thank you for joining us. We're not forgetting you. And let us know, like, maybe there's little adverts in your regions, countries that are relevant. But in the UK, there's a scene where this pompous banker, because Nationwide pretend they're like, a bank of the people, and this pompous banker, i.e. a competitor, has his daughter phone him up on a video, saying, "Hey, Daddy, I've run out of money. I'm in Thailand. Can you send some money over?" Typical horrendous, child who's, you can imagine. Sorry, anyone who's out there like that, but it's just true. And he goes, "This is one of those deep fakes, isn't it?" And then he hangs up at his daughter, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But that's we're talking about videos, but it's interesting how these sort of conversations are starting to creep into our awareness, which is important. But also, we're going to have to deal with these sort of, not just videos, but actual scam calls in the future. And, pretending to, we'll get it already, like, people pretending on text messages to be a family member or something like that. So it's going to be a really, really important fight we need to fight and figure out how best to solve it. But ultimately, using these technologies, if we can verify exactly who the person is, and that the person who is calling me or producing a video is who they say they are, then some sort of digital verification. And I'm not talking about the UK idea of a digital ID, by the way, at all, but some sort of verification system could be really powerful in that fight against fraud. So for now, just be careful, guys. Let us know what you think. Are there any sort of crappy videos, adverts that you're seeing running in your countries that are talking about these sort of topics in roundabout ways? Love to hear it. Love to know what your thoughts are. And if there's any ideas that you've got as well, that'd be cool. But for now, keep subscribing, keep watching. Really appreciate you being here. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.